Okay, everybody. So let's just settle into our meditation posture, however it is you are. Perhaps you've got your feet flat on the floor, your feet are in the regular cross-legged position. If you are sitting at a desk, try and just be sitting on top of those sits bones. If you're on a couch or a comfy chair, have yourself as much as you can on a fairly firm surface. And then, of course, you can always prop up your knees if your knees are tight or your hips are tight. But the most important thing, I think, is to have the spine nice and long so you're not kind of humped over. It affects your breathing, your blood flow, your energy flow. So you want to be nice and long. Imagine your spine is a string of pearls of light stretching from the base all the way up through the crown of the head and beyond. And then imagine your neck is getting longer. And then just very gently tip the head forward, just hinging from the top of the neck. Eyes are down, looking along the length of the nose, and the tip of the tongue is on the roof of the mouth, and relax the jaw. And then bring your awareness to the crown of the head and relax your scalp and the forehead, and the eyes, the nose, the cheeks, the area around the mouth. And then bring your attention to the back of the head at the base of the skull and just see what happens if you just release all that tension in the back of the head. And you might notice immediately your face relaxes. But I thought I relaxed my face. You'd be surprised how much tension we hold there. And then release any tension in your ears and your inner ear, your temples. And imagine there's a spot beneath, just under the ear, near the jaw. Just imagine relaxing that area, back of the tongue. And being aware of any sounds in your environment. And just noticing what your mind does. Happy distraction, wanders off to see what's going on. So just leave the sounds alone and bring the mind back to the breath. And then notice what's going on in the mind this evening. Maybe you're feeling loved, maybe you're feeling grateful, maybe you're feeling anxious, maybe stressed. And just allow it all just to bubble up. And you just recognize that this time last night you may have had different thoughts, different feelings. So you can gather from that everything changes. So whatever is going on now is not going to last forever. There's a lovely saying, this too will end. So without judgment, just be aware of the thoughts in your mind and just allow them to arise, to abide, and then just to fall and atrophy. And just be like a scientist, watching your thoughts. And then think of all the people of our life. So again, our loved ones, the ones that we find a bit more difficult, and then those people in our life who are just complete strangers for us. Remembering they can change place at any time. It certainly makes me think twice when I'm having a really lovely time with a friend or feeling nice and happy in a friendship. knowing that it could possibly change. So maybe not to take that person or the friendship for granted. And remembering that because we're under the control of samsara and our karma and our delusions right now. So things do shift. But by doing this practice, we actually are sort of getting in touch with our own power to change our mind, to change the course of our lives in a positive way. So I find this practice extremely empowering. So they're all equal, these friends of ours, these enemies, these strangers, in their wish to be happy, their wish to be free from suffering, and having this extraordinary capacity for an enlightened mind. So just remembering there is no negativity that cannot be purified. And this purification process is basically a psychological one. So we create negativity with our mind, and we can equally change that by creating positivity with our mind instead. And we're applying this 4 opponent powers in this Vajrasattva practice. So we start with the power of regret. So sincerely regret from the depths of your heart anything you have done to harm any living being on this day, in this life, and in all past lives. And think of specific actions of both your body and your speech. And then understand the reason that we want to regret is based on this logic of karma. And given we experience everything due to our past karma, our past actions, having harmed others, we ourselves will necessarily experience suffering in the future. And we don't want more future suffering. We know from our present suffering, we don't want it. Logically, it would make sense then to remove those karmic seeds before they ripen as future suffering for us. So think like this: I regret from the depths of my heart having harmed others with my body and my speech, having broken my vows, because I do not want the future suffering. I'm sick of suffering. And also regret any anger and attachment and the rest that are the cause of why we harm others, and think I'm sick of this suffering. And then think, what can I do about it? Whom can I turn to? So here we come to the power of reliance. So we turn to the Buddha, the doctor who has the methods that we can use to purify. And it's not that we're needing the Buddha to forgive us. We're purifying ourselves by relying upon his methods. So just imagine, because sometimes I think we need to go, and maybe it's our training, often our Christian background, that we have to go and somehow admit something to someone. But I think with Vajrasattva here, this is not the case. We're wanting Vajrasattva's methods, so we can do the work ourselves, and we can do any kind of forgiveness to ourselves. We don't have to ask anyone else to forgive us. Maybe we do, but sometimes. But in this case, we're not asking for a higher power to forgive us. So imagine Vajrasattva is on the crown of your head, and he can also imagine this is your teacher manifesting in this aspect for your benefit. And in this case, Vajrasattva, made of radiant, blissful white light, sitting cross-legged on a white lotus and a moon cushion. He has a beautiful, radiant face. His eyes are long and peaceful and full of love and compassion for you and all those people of your life. And he has a sweet red mouth. His hair is black and held up in a top knot. His arms are crossed at his heart, the left underneath the right. The left is holding a bell representing wisdom. The right is holding a vajra, which represents the indestructibility of compassion. And their being crossed represents the union of these two, which symbolizes enlightenment itself, the development of infinite wisdom and infinite compassion. To the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, I go for refuge until I'm enlightened. By this practice of meditating on Guru Vajrasattva, may I reach Buddhahood so as to benefit all sentient beings. So here's a little bit on compassion. And in order to develop compassion, we need to rely upon other beings, and the very beings we have harmed and those who have harmed us, by developing compassion for them, a wish for them to be free from suffering. And so think particularly of people you've harmed recently, and also people who've harmed you, particularly for these people, it's good to think, perhaps remember, realize the harm they've caused you is going to manifest as suffering for them sometime in the future, and the timing of that is uncertain. So you have compassion for them because of that. That they're actually, by harming you, they're creating suffering for themselves. So we come to the power of the remedy, thinking that we must purify for all of these people's sakes. So this is the medicine, doing the practice of purification with mantra and visualization. So we start with the body, and Vajrasattva very compassionately sends powerful white nectar, like coming out of a hose, quite forcefully from his heart, and it arcs around and enters your crown and pours into your entire body, filling you completely, and he keeps pouring into you until it forces out of your lower orifices all the harm you've ever done to any living being with your body in the form of inky liquid. And this pours out of you and disappears into space, not one atom left, as we recite the mantra. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Supokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sutta Me Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum Ha 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 Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tathagata Vajramame Mutsa Vajrabala Mahasamaya Sattva Aham Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Supokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sutta Me Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum Ha 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 Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tathagata Vajramame Mutsa Vajrabala Mahasamaya Sattva Aham Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Supokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sutta Me Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum Ha 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 Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tathagata Vajramame Mutsa Vajrabala Mahasamaya Sattva Aham Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Supokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sutta Me Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum Ha 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 Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tathagata Vajramame Mutsa Vajrabala Mahasamaya Sattva Aham Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Supokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sutta Me Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum Ha 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 Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tathagata Vajramame Mutsa Vajrabala Mahasamaya Sattva Aham Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Supokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sutta Me Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum Ha 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 Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tathagata Vajramame Mutsa Vajrabala Mahasamaya Sattva Aham Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Supokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sutta Me Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum Ha 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 Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tathagata Vajramame Mutsa Vajrabala Mahasamaya Sattva Aham Pe. So be delighted that all the harm you've ever done to any sentient being with your body is completely purified, and think there's no way you could do anything but benefit others now to your body. And next is a purification of the speech. And Vajrasattva very happily sends powerful nectar from his heart chakra, and this arcs around and forcefully enters your crown and fills your entire body, except this time forcing up to the top of your body all the negativity of your speech. And this overflows quite powerfully and disappears into space, not one atom left. So imagining all our gossip, our careless speech, useless speech, harsh speech, lying, talking badly about others behind their backs, getting other people to agree with you, all of this is purified by the powerful nectar filling you as you recite the mantra. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Supokaya Meboa Anarakta Miboa Sawasiti Mimpi Yata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramame Mutta Vajrabala Mahasamaya Satra A Hom Pe Vajrasappa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasappa Dina Patita Dida Miboa Sutokaya Miboa Supokaya Miboa Anarakta Miboa Sawasiti Mimpi Yata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramame Mutta Vajrabala Mahasamaya Satra A Hom Pe Vajrasappa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasappa Dina Patita Dida Miboa Sutokaya Miboa Supokaya Miboa Anarakta Miboa Sawasiti Mimpi Yata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramame Mutta Vajrabala Mahasamaya Satra A Hom Pe Vajrasappa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasappa Dina Patita Dida Miboa Sutokaya Miboa Supokaya Miboa Anarakta Miboa Sawasiti Mimpi Yata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramame Mutta Vajrabala Mahasamaya Satra A Hom Pe Vajrasappa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasappa Dina Patita Dida Miboa Sutokaya Miboa Supokaya Miboa Anarakta Miboa Sawasiti Mimpi Yata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramame Mutta Vajrabala Mahasamaya Satra A Hom Pe Vajrasappa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasappa Dina Patita Dida Miboa Sutokaya Miboa Supokaya Miboa Anarakta Miboa Sawasiti Mimpi Yata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramame Mutta Vajrabala Mahasamaya Satra A Hom Pe Vajrasappa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasappa Dina Patita Dida Miboa Sutokaya Miboa Supokaya Miboa Anarakta Miboa Sawasiti Mimpi Yata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramame Mutta Vajrabala Mahasamaya Satra A Hom Pe. So again, feel so happy that your speech is now completely purified, and imagine it's not possible to do anything but benefit others now with your speech. So next is a purification of the mind, and Vajrasattva now very compassionately sends powerful beams of light, this time from his heart chakra, and this arcs around and enters your crown and fills your entire being. So again, imagine this visualization of walking into a room and switching on the light, and that light dispelling the darkness. So this is the same. The light from Vajrasattva's heart hits your heart, switches on that switch, and the light floods you, and it eradicates the darkness of the negativity of your mind. So all our anger and attachment and violence and neediness and bitterness and depression and resentment and anxiety and jealousy, grudges, disappointments, all of this instantly dispelled, not one atom left as we recite the mantra. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dida Miboa Sutokaya Miboa Supokaya Miboa Anarakta Miboa Sawasiti Mimpi Yata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramame Mutta Vajrabala Mahasamaya Satra A Hom Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dida Miboa Sutokaya Miboa Supokaya Miboa Anarakta Miboa Sawasiti Mimpi Yata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramame Mutta Vajrabala Mahasamaya Satra A Hom Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dida Miboa Sutokaya Miboa Supokaya Miboa Anarakta Miboa Sawasiti Mimpi Yata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramame Mutta Vajrabala Mahasamaya Satra A Hom Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dida Miboa Sutokaya Miboa Supokaya Miboa Anarakta Miboa Sawasiti Mimpi Yata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramame Mutta Vajrabala Mahasamaya Satra A Hom Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Miboa Sutokaya Miboa Sipokaya Miboa Anarakta Miboa Savasidi Mipiyata Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramame Mutsa Vajrabala Mahasamaya Sata Aham Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Miboa Sutokaya Miboa Sipokaya Miboa Anurakta Miboa Savasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramame Mutsa Vajrabala Mahasamaya Sata Aham Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Miboa Sutokaya Miboa Sipokaya Miboa Anurakta Miboa Savasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramame Mutsa Vajrabala Mahasamaya Satra Ahum Pe. So again, be delighted that all your delusions, which are the source of suffering, all of our suffering, and the cause of why we harm others with our body and our speech. So imagine that all of that's gone, completely purified, and there's no space in your heart now for anything other than love and kindness and forgiveness and wisdom and bliss and compassion. So next is a purification of even the imprints of negativity of the body, speech, and mind. And imagine that Vajrasattva sends light and nectar. It fills you completely and again eradicates, except this time, the subtlest imprints of negative energy from the mind. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Miboa Sutokaya Miboa Sipokaya Miboa Anurakta Miboa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramame Matsa Vajrabala Mahasamaya Satra Aham Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Miboa Sutokaya Miboa Sipokaya Miboa Anurakta Miboa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramame Mutsa Vajrabala Mahasamaya Satra Aham Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Miboa Sutokaya Miboa Sipokaya Miboa Anurakta Miboa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramame Mutsa Vajrabala Mahasamaya Satra Aham Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Miboa Sutokaya Miboa Sipokaya Miboa Anurakta Miboa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramame Mutsa Vajrabala Mahasamaya Satra Aham Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Miboa Sutokaya Miboa Sipokaya Miboa Anurakta Miboa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramame Mutsa Vajrabala Mahasamaya Satra Aham Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Miboa Sutokaya Miboa Sipokaya Miboa Anurakta Miboa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramame Mutsa Vajrabala Mahasamaya Satra Aham Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Miboa Sutokaya Miboa Sipokaya Miboa Anurakta Miboa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramame Mutsa Vajrabala Mahasamaya Satra Aham Pe. So feel you're completely purified. Not one atom of negativity is left in your mind stream, and even the subtlest obscurations and blocks to your enlightenment have been removed. So the power of resolve is the fourth step in the purification process. A really important one is this determination to not harm with our body and speech and mind. And we really have to make a decision to want to do this for anything to happen. Otherwise, nothing will change. Our habits kind of are strong. They're not only from this life, we reinforce them, we do them over and over again every day with our We have all these thinking patterns that are influenced by where we live, by what we watch, who we talk to, family we grew up in. So sometimes it's really, habitual thinking. It's very hard to change. So we just have to make a really strong determination. And you have the power to do this. So that's why we start with little steps. One little baby step in front of the other. Humbly trying to make a difference to ourselves and others. So think of something you'd like to work on over the weekend before we meet again on Monday. Maybe just stick to one thing. Maybe it's something in the mind, some negative self-talk as it arises. That I think the trick is to catch it. And once you've caught it, notice it, let it go. Change it. Okay, and imagine Vajrasattva is delighted with us and wanting to merge with your mind, melts into white light and absorbs into you through your crown. And think, my Guru's body, speech, and mind, and Vajrasattva's body, speech, and mind, and my own body, speech, and mind are the same thing. So next, Rinpoche recommends to meditate on the emptiness of the three circles. In emptiness, there is no I, the creative negative karma. There is no action of creating negative karma, and there is no negative karma created. So at whatever level you understand emptiness, just place your mind there for a little while. So in this way, you look at all phenomena as being empty. They do not exist from their own side. You can also think that the way things appear to me may not necessarily be the way they actually exist. So let's just dedicate all the merit, all the positive energy you've created doing this purification to all living beings, and think, may all the virtuous karma I've created from doing this practice ripen as my enlightenment for the sake of sentient beings as quickly as possible. And in order for our precious teachers to stay long, the His Holiness the Dalai Lama, the wish-granting, wish-fulfilling jewel, source of every single happiness and benefit and happiness in this world, to the incomparably kind Tenzin Gyatso, I beseech, may all your holy wishes be spontaneously fulfilled. For Lama Zopa Rinpoche. O Tub Shu Chang Xin Jam Gon Galloway. Tenzin Kyong Pelaway Konzo Dog Porze Yog Sum Kurway Leg Mon Tu Drug Dog Sog Dulaje Gondu Jab Tin Shog. For Lama Ursel, Venerable One, to you whose kindness exceeds that of all the conquerors, for those wanderers in far-off places, especially the West, mindful of your loving concern for us in intentionally descending again into a family of a far distant land, we make this request. O Lama, please live long. And for Geshe Shera, beloved teacher, leading your students toward wisdom and compassion, explaining through exacting discernment the steps of the graduated path, you are the unequal guide. Please live a long and stable life. Okay, everybody, lots of love. Hello, Lorraine. Good night.
Thank you very much.